Carl, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm up in the Sacramento swamp, and it's corrupt.
Yeah.
These people are completely batshit crazy, and we're working hard to shine a light and bring the people's voice into that chamber, that broken system. And I think I think they are getting very frustrated, but the voice is being heard, and that's the first step in us turning California around. Is we have to bring the voice of the people, an alternative point of view, into the process, and we're making sure that voice is heard loud and clear. They don't like it, but they're going to hear it.
And we hear kind of generalities about how crazy and horrible and stupid and out of touch Sacramento is. But talk to us about, it's been a couple months since you've been up there full time as an assembly member. Specifically, what do you think it is, or what's an example of just how out of touch they are? Why is it so disconnected?
Oh golly! So the system serves the very special interests, the wealthy people who have the ability to give campaign contributions, to write big checks, to advance the political careers of these politicians, and that means that it's the labor unions, the lobbyists, the corporations. These groups are absolutely in charge. They call the shots. And a lot of these legislators are only interested in what their next political job is, not doing the current job they're in, faithfully representing their constituents, but rather, how do I keep the special interests happy, so that I can climb the ladder of California politics? Sadly, that is the case on both sides of the aisle. And that's why Reform California exists as a movement. That's why people on the right, there are some politicians, Republican politicians and Republican political consultants, who hate us. They hate what we stand for, because what we say is that both political parties have betrayed us, have failed us in California in particular, just as they have in Washington. And that when we elect Republicans in California to the handful of seats that we have to demand that they're going to be fighters, and that they're not going to succumb to the pleasures of the office, the money that's offered them, the jobs, frankly, employment opportunities that are offered to them, and that they do the right thing. And we've been absolutely turning the tide within the Republican caucus. And as a result of that, the Republicans are much more aggressive in Sacramento now since I've gotten there. And they are getting their message across as a result. And that meant that we had to really push back against certain Republicans inside in order for them to hold the line. And that's been happening.
Well, I appreciate very much that you continue to understand your job in Sacramento, which I got to tell you, I talk to people all the time, talk to candidates, I talk to, whatever, all the time. And when they're going up to Sacramento, you frequently hear how they're going to change the world. They're going to offer this bill or fight against that bill or whatever. That's all well and good, but Republicans are in such small minority. Their number one job right now is to get other people elected who agree with them. Now, you had a radio show here in San Diego, which of course you still do on the internet, on your channel. You created Reform California. You could have easily done that, raised your name ID, gotten elected to the assembly, and left that all behind, like most people do. But you understand and continue to fight for other people who are like-minded to get elected. You, in essence, have, two full-time jobs. And I really, truly appreciate that about you, and the fact that you understand that. What's it look like as far as, being the mega minority in Sacramento?
I'm having a lot of fun because, yes, in terms of counting votes, we are a super minority. But on the issues, we are representing the supermajority voice in California. You saw that with Prop 36, the Make Crime Illegal Again initiative in 2024, overwhelmingly passed, even passed in San Francisco, for God's sakes. You know that you got a good idea that when even San Francisco voters are willing to go along with it. And so now we're moving forward on popular ideas like ending the sanctuary state, cutting off welfare from illegal immigrants, making sure that we have voter ID to restore the integrity and public trust and confidence in our elections. These are issues that have 70% support. And so those are the issues that I'm fighting for in Sacramento. And while the Democrats may have the votes, we've got the voice, and we've got the people with us. And I'm not afraid of that position. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to cower. I'm not going to capitulate. They're used to their Republicans going along to get along, and they don't know what to do with our movement because we're not willing to back down and be quiet. And we're now flipping seats, and we continue, and we have a plan to continue to flip seats in Sacramento in the 2026 election and put our ideas on the ballot using ballot initiatives.
And that's awesome. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. You have a big announcement about somebody, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, what's the Second Amendment reality up in Sacramento? What have you learned about the Second Amendment reality in Sacramento since you've been there?
First, I wish that legislators on both sides of the aisle would actually understand what the Second Amendment is. They don't. Guns are scary. Guns are bad. So are criminals. That's why you have a gun. It's why you have the Second Amendment right of self-defense. I start out with people when I talk about the Second Amendment, I say it's not about guns. Guns are the instrument. The Second Amendment is the human right of self-defense, a basic human right. That's what the Bill of Rights is all about. It's the basic suite of human rights that we are afforded by our Creator, by our birthright, and that no government gives us. We have those inherently. Just by, saying hello, we have these rights, not government giving it to us. And that the right of self-defense is fundamental. And that a gun is merely the instrument by which we exercise our right of self-defense. Democrats don't seem to understand that. And then they don't really have any interest in the facts. I mean, I'll sit down and say, what you're hearing from the Brady group it's lie. It's a lie. It's just flat out wrong. And they don't even want to hear about facts. For them, it's all about emotion, misinformation, the narrative that they're driving. And it's really sad that they're not interested in an informed discussion. So we do show up with our facts in support of the Second Amendment. To dispel the lies, the falsehoods that the gun-grabbing community has been peddling. And then we basically make the argument on the constitutional level that whether you agree or disagree with our facts, the reality is it's not your decision. These are constitutional rights that you're trying to infringe upon. But unfortunately, they hear those arguments and they continue to pass these bills. So every cycle, we have to play defense. The idea that we're going to be able to pass pro-2A legislation in Sacramento right now, that's a fantasy. Some bills might get heard in committee. Like there's one bill that's really good that would extend the amount of time that your CCW is valid for.
Yeah.
I think right now the rule is every 2 years they have to be reviewed. Yep. Why don't we take the burden off of the sheriffs and do that every 5 years or every 6 years? That's a common sense reform. These are people who already have CCWs. They've already gone through the process. Why are we diverting law enforcement resources to validate that someone's a good actor? Why don't we do that every 5 years instead of every 2? And again, you and I know that that's a common sense thing, but no. They're likely not going to go for that common sense bill because they just hate the Second Amendment. They hate the idea of people having guns to defend themselves.
Well, let's hope. And you've always been a supporter of San Diego County gun owners. You've always been a supporter of the Second Amendment. You've never asked for anything in return, and I don't think that can be said enough. Truly appreciate it. From day one, for our 9.5 or whatever year history now, you've always stepped up and said, hey, I have an idea. Here's what I want to do for you. And you've never asked for anything in return. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Hey, thanks for watching Gun Owners Radio. I hope you loved that clip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on social media, and check out our website at gunownersradio.com.